This is a stretch of water only about 48 kilometers wide. Yet, it is these 48 kilometers that make this the most critical strategic location in the world. Control this spot, and you practically rule the world. Blockade it, and it's enough to destroy the world. The reason is that to transport 70% of goods from one continent to another, you must pass through here. There are many ways to transport goods in the 21st century. You can choose to fly, arriving in just a few hours, but air transport is costly. The heavier the cargo, the more expensive it gets. Therefore, 80% of global trade still relies on the most traditional method, maritime shipping. Under normal circumstances, about 50,000 merchant ships carry 6 million containers, shuttling between oceans and continents. These dense shipping lanes you see on the screen are the lifeblood of the 21st century global economy. But the problem is, ocean navigation is not always smooth. The distribution of continents, islands, and land naturally forms numerous trade routes have no choice but to pass through these points. Once these choke points are blocked, it can deliver a stroke-like blow to the world economy. The Suez Canal blockage is a classic example. A freighter accidentally ran aground, closing the canal for several days. Nearly $10 billion in global trade was obstructed. From North America to Australia, global shipping and logistics suffered massive delays. There are other strategic maritime choke points worldwide. The Panama Canal controls trade routes between the Atlantic and Pacific. The Cape of Good Hope controls routes around Africa. The Strait of Gibraltar connects the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. The Danish Straits connect the Baltic Sea and the North Sea. The Turkish Straits link the Mediterranean and Black Sea. The Malacca Strait links the Pacific and Indian Oceans. However, no choke point is more critical or dangerous than the Strait of Hormuz, because it is the only passage for vessels traveling between the Persian Gulf and the open ocean. There are 8 countries along the Persian Gulf: Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE, and Oman. For 4 of these, the Persian Gulf is their only outlet to the sea. This means the Strait of Hormuz is a mandatory path to the global ocean. Anyone with basic knowledge of the Middle East knows its oil reserves are vast. But oil is only one reason why the Strait of Hormuz is so vital. There are 8 major islands within the strait. Ships must navigate around them. 7 of these are effectively controlled by Iran. 3 strategic islands are disputed with the UAE, but have been occupied by the Iranian military since the 1970s. They are under de facto Iranian control. Large tankers cannot pass through the highlighted shallow areas. Other areas are obstructed by islands and land, leading to poor visibility. Frequent sandstorms and haze further reduce visibility. The unestablished a specific traffic separation scheme for this. Only 2 shipping lanes, each 3 kilometers wide, are provided. 1 inbound and 1 outbound, separated by a 3 kilometers buffer zone. The entire route passes through the territorial waters of Iran, the UAE, and Oman. The world's giant vessels must pass through here, with almost no room to avoid sudden obstacles. If the strait is blocked or disrupted long-term, the world's 2nd, 3rd, and 10th largest economies would instantly stall. The main revenue of the 8 Gulf nations would also dry up. The chain reaction would almost certainly lead to a global economic collapse. Alternatives to bypass the strait are extremely limited. Saudi Arabia has a crude oil pipeline to transport some oil from Gulf fields to Red Sea ports. The UAE has a similar pipeline to bypass the strait and reach the Gulf of Oman. But their capacity is very limited. Qatar, Bahrain. Theoretically, these pipelines can only divert about 20% of Persian Gulf oil exports. Building new pipelines is extremely costly. All this proves that the Strait of Hormuz is the most vital choke point for the global economy. Consequently, it has long attracted intense attention from major powers. Most notable is the United States. The U.S. has deployed dozens of military bases across Oman, the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Iraq. This includes air bases in Qatar and the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, typically equipped with over 15,000 sailors, 2 aircraft carriers, dozens of ships, and numerous fighter jets from air bases. As the world's largest single source of energy, the U.S. maintains a heavy presence here. The core goal is to ensure the continuous flow of oil and to counter Iran's influence across the strait. If conflict escalates and Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz, the global economy will be severely damaged. This threat is enough to make the U.S. think twice. However, Iran's actual capacity to blockade is limited. While Iran's military is strong, the U.S. military is stronger. The Fifth Fleet in Bahrain is just a stone's throw away, capable of securing immediate air and sea superiority. Iran also knows its forces cannot win a direct confrontation. Therefore, over the last decade, Iran has focused on coastal air defense and missile sites. They also possess thousands of sea mines, which could theoretically blanket the strait quickly, paralyzing shipping for a long time. An Iranian blockade would likely trigger a strong response from a U.S. and Saudi-led coalition with unimaginable consequences. The conflict is extremely complex, highly controversial, and filled with tragic misunderstandings. Millions of lives hang in the balance. Undoubtedly, this is one of the most critical and significant conflicts of the 21st century.